Inside of the narcissistically abusive relationship, what traps you is a covert contract you didn't realize that you'd signed, that asks you, that demands of you, that you not be. It's a contract that you've engaged in that is effectively telling you not to exist. This is one of the many reasons why recovery from narcissistic abuse is quite difficult. So, obviously, you never saw a contract. You were never told directly, hey, you're engaging in a contract with me. And part of that contract is going to tell you don't be. Usually what happens is a kind of bait and switch. So you are wherever you are in your life, whatever it is that you've experienced. Maybe you're going through a moment of vulnerability. You've moved to a new country. You're grieving for a friend you've lost or a family member who's passed away. Some kind of vulnerable state typically is where a predatory personality type will find you. Or due to childhood trauma, you're living in a perpetually vulnerable state, which can also happen. It's very, very common. Hi, I'm Samir, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. The topic for today is 5 dirty tactics age narcissists use when their supply dries up. What happens then is I come to you and I can see your vulnerability because I am a psychological predator. It is very, very easy for me to see when somebody is in a vulnerable state. I've said this to people sometimes at seminars. So I'll stand in front of a room full of people who are looking to recover from narcissistic abuse, and I will say to people, you must be aware that you're giving away far more information about yourself than you realize. If somebody is psychologically informed or interested in mapping people's vulnerability, and I'll stand there and I'll say, I can look out amongst you and I can see who's vulnerable. I can see who's emotionally dysregulated. 2 things happen. People look really, really shocked because they carry all of their emotions. These particular people carry all of their emotions directly on their face and in their physiology. And then they look frightened. First of all, don't be shocked. We're all leaking information that we don't realize we're leaking. Most of us are not as smart as we think we are. And it's not the case that most of humanity is scanning for vulnerabilities anyway. It's that psychological predators have leered to scan for vulnerabilities. And it's a fairly simple exercise to do. It's an exercise in what we can call dark empathy. I've given you other dark empathy exercises to do before. You can try this yourself. You can walk down a busy street or go into a cafe or go into a place where there are people, and you can say, I'm now going to pretend that I'm a psychological predator and I'm looking for vulnerability in this room. Can I find it? And you'll find a part of your brain starts to solve the problem. And you can look and you can scan people and you can see who is vulnerable. So you've been scanned, you've been found to be vulnerable. What they've then mapped those vulnerabilities in terms of what it is likely that you feel vulnerable around. And maybe they would say, this person seems lonely. This person seems like they're really craving to be seen, or they're really craving for love, or they're really craving for validation. So, to keep it simple, let's assume that I am the gender I am. As a man, I might see a woman and say, I can see that this woman is lonely, and I think I'm seeing signs that she's grieving for something. I think I can see signs that there's a little bit of listlessness and depression going on here. Perfect. Perfect. Just consider for a moment how nasty and evil that line of thinking is. What do I need to offer her to sink my hooks into her? Well, if she's lonely and she's feeling depressed, and I could have scanned you wrong, and they do get it wrong sometimes, they do misinterpret signals sometimes. Nobody's, they're still human. They're not superhuman. But at times they can seem like they're so plugged into your emotional states that they can seem almost psychic. It's just that they're making a big effort and they've spent years practicing it. What will I offer you? I must offer you some kind of bait. I need you to come to me. If I just come to you and push myself into your space, that's psychopathic abuse. That becomes more of an issue that the police can actually deal with. For narcissistic and borderline abuse to play out, I need a degree of consent. I need a degree of you coming towards me. I can't just walk over to you and threaten you. That's a psychopathic abuse issue for the police. So I need to lure you in. In order to lure you in, I need a bait. And the bait should be carefully constructed around what I think it is you're missing in your life. So I may present as the perfect potential romantic partner. Or if that's not the power context that we're in, I would present as the person who is the best opportunity for you in the particular career you're looking for. Or if there's no sexual or romantic element to it, I could present as the best friend you've ever had. Within family dynamics, I could present as the perfect father or whatever it is. The thing is, with family dynamics, the bait is already written, encoded into the dynamic anyway, into the power dynamic anyway, because children want to be loved by their parents. So the parents don't have to do very much to be emotionally abusive because the child is already moving towards them based on pure genetic instinct. Once I've lured you in with the bait, I essentially create a utopian, false promise of what life with me, if you keep moving forward into the lobster trap, is going to look like. I can do this by inference, and I can overtly tell you. I can build a vision of the future that just sounds amazing to you. I'm a solution to all of your problems. I'm everything you've been looking for. Life with me is going to be amazing. That's where the covert contract and the bait and switch begins. So I'm saying, here's the shiny object. Keep walking forward. You will get the shiny object. As you walk forward into the trap, we switch. And what you get is not a shiny object. What you get is imprisonment. What you get is enslavement. And what you get is abuse. However, because this covert, or another way of saying unspoken, it's an unspoken contract that's occurred between us. Nothing's been made explicit. You kind of have got the idea, because you also have to map me, and you are mapping a false presentation of a human being. So I guarantee that you're mapping the wrong. You think my intentions are this, they're that. You think my beliefs are this, they're that. You think my moral code and my value system is like this. It's not at all. It's actually that. I am an artifice. I am an artificial artifact. So you can see if I explain it like this. Imagine this wasn't happening to you. Imagine it was happening to one of your friends or to another person. You can see objectively, if you step outside of yourself, just how much danger that person would be in, right? So they're dealing with a person who's fundamentally deceptive, and they're deceiving the target to make them vulnerable and to lock them into a contract, a covert contract, an unspoken contract that makes the target feel like they can't leave. Why would the target not just simply say after a period of time, well, hang on a second. This isn't what I was promised. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. I'll just leave. Because one of the rules that makes it very, very difficult to leave, one of the rules of the game that we're now playing inside of this unseen contract is I've given you a hidden injunction, rule, or script, if you like, to not be. Don't be. So don't show up as an individual person. If you want to get into this amazing ride, this amazing experience, this amazing life with me, you're going to have to just dial yourself down a little bit. And maybe at first you think, oh yeah, okay, maybe I can be a bit too much sometimes. Or maybe this, or maybe I'll make a little compromise. I mean, Disneyland awaits, right? This is everything I've ever been looking for. What kind of a person can't make a few little compromises to get something amazing further down the road? Now, I've got you. Because along that timeline, if you start here and I entrain you to think, yes, a little compromise on my sense of self, it's worth it. A little compromise on my morality, it's worth it. A little compromise on my values, it's worth it. And on and on and on. You are slowly becoming less of a person. I'm telling you to not be, because the most important element, the most important person in this relationship is me. Now, if you start being in a way that I don't want you to be, that threatens me and it threatens the dynamic of the relationship. I've referred to this simulated, Gnostic, erontic, evil reality as the matrix, the narcissistic matrix. It's more properly in the clinical literature known by a term that was coined by a psychoanalyst called Sander in 1989 as a shared fantasy. So you can think of it as sort of a live action role play, shared fantasy matrix simulation. But there are rules within this simulated version of reality. It means that for the entire time that you're in that relationship, you're in a simulation, not in a literal sense, but in a very, very meaningful, figurative sense. You're doing something that looks and feels like reality, but the two of you are playing outside of the normal boundaries of reality. As Sander defined it, this matrix-like state is rootless, boundaryless, and timeless. So there's this very strange and seductive quality to the narcissistically abusive relationship where you feel as though you are living in a dream, because in a very real sense, from the psychoanalytic point of view, you are living in a dream. From a practical, materialistic, mechanistic point of view, no, you're just living life. But we need to alter our perspectives on these things in order to understand them. You are being told, essentially, it is a sin. It is a crime. It is haram for you to be. So you learn to not be, you learn to dial yourself down. What are we dialing down? Sovereignty, independence, rational thinking, resistance, reasoning, boundary setting, the capacity to say no, everything that makes you an individual and separate human. I'm soaking you in the pink goo fluid of the Matrix pod in a way that breaks all of this down or makes it very, very weak. I need you soft. I need you pliable, because my game is to trick you into this space. Promise you something wonderful. Maybe give you a little something wonderful. Maybe give you a little taste, just to get you on the hook, just to get you hooked into it. A little bit of it. And so you get this, it's called, in psychology, intermittent reinforcement. And it's known to be the fastest way to hack the human primate brain into addiction and control. It's how gambling works. It's how social media works. It's how porn sites work. It's all deliberately there so that you're thinking, if something like this, if I push this button, I may get something amazing, I may get nothing, or I may get an electric shock. That's intermittent reinforcement. If I keep pushing the button, the chance of me getting, I don't like getting nothing. I damn sure don't like getting electric shocks. But the chance of me getting something amazing is improved the more times I push the button. The brain reasons. What's pushing the button? If you're the target and I'm the narcissist pushing the button, Gambling is continuing to stay at the table instead of saying, this game is rigged. This whole casino is a fraudulent con. I cannot win here. I'm out. I'm not staying at the table and I'm leaving the casino. Instead of doing that, we're saying, okay, but I do remember that one time or that time, he was so good to me. She was so kind to me. She made me feel so safe. She made me feel so seen. If I just stay, I might win that back again. And that's why people stay stuck, because of the covert contract, the bait and switch, the intermittent reinforcement, and this heavy, heavy injunction which says, don't be a person. And you effectively, you install it, it becomes like a virus, malware that's installed, we could say by the narcissist, but more technically we should say it's effectively de facto installed by the relating. It's the relationship that's doing the damage predominantly. It's that shared fantasy, that shared space. It's what the two of you have co-created together. And I don't mean that you intentionally co-created abuse. I mean, there's a co-creation in this relationship dynamic, and that is what is doing most of the damage. In order to undo the covert contract, in order to break the matrix in the shared fantasy space, in order to overcome this heavy, unconscious direction, don't be a person, don't be an individual, don't be sovereign, don't be a rational thinker, don't say no, don't stick up for yourself, don't be. We have to do very, very specific and very, very careful work. Work that allows us to overcome these things in a step-by-step way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you.